Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to a special edition of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Happy Wednesday to everybody. I normally do this show on Mondays. Got a different format, different graphics, just trying something out new. I'm excited to be back. I've been gone for a week, but I am ready to talk sports. Here we go. We have got brackets in the baseball playoffs, the soccer playoffs. Congratulations to Lakeside School as they ended up winning game 2 earlier today, and they are going back to the state championship at Patterson Field next Wednesday, May the 13th. It's a great time to be a sports fan if you are a resident of Columbus or a resident of Phoenix City or Opelika, Auburn. It's a great time. Here's what's going to happen here. I'm going to break down the baseball brackets. We still have some teams to the Chattahoochee Valley that are still remaining. I'm going to break down the soccer brackets as well. And I'm also going to talk about the Columbus Lions. Make sure you go to Poor Decisions Bar and Grill later today. The Columbus Lions Coaches Show will be on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Shameless plug. I'll make sure to plug that in. I know that I support the Lions. I love the Columbus Lions. And I just love sitting back and just being a fan. I know that in the past I've been a part of the broadcast team, but I just appreciate everything that Roger Beck and Corey Black has done. And we also have Columbus United FC, their first game on the road this Saturday, taking on Apotheos FC. So you got the Columbus Lions on the road taking on the New Jersey Bearcats. And then you got Columbus United FC that's taking on Apotheos FC. The Cleanstones, they are down in Biloxi, taking on the Biloxi Shuckers. They'll be back at Synovus Park on Tuesday as they will be taking on the Tennessee Smokies. And I got to tell you, I got to get out to the game. I love Columbus. You could tell I got the virtual backdrop of the Columbus Riverwalk that makes the Fountain City oh so special. And that's why I love being a resident of Columbus. On somber news, I do want to get a couple of passings that really near and dear to this local community. First of all, Brian Stubbs. He's been a guest on the show. As you could see in the intro, he was a guest on the show. I'm truly heartbroken. It's just a special prayer going out to the Stubbs family. This guy was so nice, so approachable. He let me interview him. He was part of the Haskins Foundation, a really big integral part of the Southeast Amateur Championship they have at the Columbus Country Club every July. And he got me in touch with golfers like Ben Carr. And, he was really a staple in this community, in this golf community here in Columbus, and he will definitely be missed. So that's on my heart and mind as I start this show. And also local to Georgia, it just came across the waiver wire as far as like the headline news. Ted Turner passed away, age 87. If you're a Braves fan, you knew exactly who Ted Turner was. The owner of the Braves. He founded CNN, which later would become a giant conglomerate with Cartoon Network, TNT, TBS, True TV. He was a pioneer that will always be remembered. In my mind, I remember him down the first base line with a Braves cap along with Jane Fonda when the Braves were making their big run in the 1990s. I'm not originally from Atlanta, but I remember the Braves being on TBS when I was a kid, and just the impact to get the Braves on TBS to be America's team. People that weren't even from the South became Braves fans. And he also owned the Atlanta Hawks for a little bit, and he also owned the Atlanta Flames when they were in Atlanta until 1980. So he truly will be missed, a legend and an icon that is gone at the age of 87. All right, let's go ahead and take a deep dive into the show. First of all, I just want to thank everybody that's continued to support me. As I try to put a little production on this show, but I got to get a show out once a week because, we are back on the radio station, and we are on WQVZ Mission 1700 AM out of Casita, Alabama. Big shout out to Ryan O'Neill. You can catch us on Sunday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. All right, let's take a deep dive into the baseball playoffs because I know locally here to the Chattahoochee Valley, because we count Troup County as our local team. They are taking on North Hall later this afternoon. The defending 3A state champions are taking on North Hall. And so good luck to Coach Tanner Glisson and those Troup County Tigers. I've been following the bracket just about every day because Synovus Park is going to be a site for the baseball championships in May 22nd, 23rd to be exact, 25th, I believe. But let's go ahead and break down those playoff brackets. I'm going to start with 6A because I like talking about the entire state of Georgia. This is what I like to do. So we've got the defending champions, Walton. They go down. Carrollton ends up beating them. And so Carrollton will be taking on Mill Creek on May the 8th. These are quarterfinal matchups down in the bottom bracket. We have North Gwinnett and we have Etowah. Now, Etowah able to get a big win over Denmark, able to get the big win over Colquitt County. All right, so we've got Buford taking on North Paulding, and then we also have Parkview taking on Cherokee. Now, these are quarterfinal matchups. Now, let's go to 6A, where Woodward Academy out of College Park taking on Houston County out of Warner Robins. Houston County was able to knock off the defending 5A champion Noonan. And so Houston County, which is a baseball powerhouse down in Warner Robins, taking on Woodward Academy. That should be a lot of fun. Glenn Academy is going to be taking on Pope. And then you got Logansville taking on Villa Rica, and then Brunswick taking on Coffee. Now let's look at the 4A bracket. East Forsyth taking on Kell. Remember, Kell beat Harris County. Kell was the number 4 seed. They upset Locust Grove, and they upset Harris County to get to the quarters. And then you've got Cartersville, those Golden Hurricanes were able to take down Ware County in 3 games, taking on St. Pius X. And then you got North Oconee taking on Union Grove. And then you got the boys from Savannah, the all-military school Benedictine, which it seems like they win at everything. If they had a girls basketball team, they'd win that too. But it's an all-boys school. They don't have a girls basketball team. So I was just cracking a joke. Cambridge. So, yeah, Benedictine and Cambridge. Now let's go to 3A. We already talked about Troup County. We know they're taking on North Hall. That's going to be later today, tomorrow, an if necessary game. They had a rematch with the runners-up in the state championship last year, Cherokee Bluff. They were able to knock them off. Game 3, they won that game 9-3. I mean, Troup County with Davis Moncus and Garrison Edwards, there's some talent there. And Coach Tanner Glisson, I think, can get them to compete for a possible second straight state championship. How cool will that be? Jefferson taking on Peach County. Peach County, another powerhouse down in middle Georgia, over there at Fort Valley. On the right side of the bracket, Calhoun taking on Oconee County. And then you got West Lawrence taking on Pickens. Shout out to our folks at Middle Georgia Sports Live. No, they're going to be definitely having their eyes on that. Let's go to 2A. Now, 2A, we've got the Callaway Cavaliers are in the quarters. They are taking on Pierce County. Pierce County was able to defeat Pike County. Callaway able to defeat Crisp County in 3 games. Bottom of the bracket, remember, Cook ended up upsetting Columbus. The 12 seed beat the 5 seed. They are taking on the 4 seed Redan, who ended up defeating North Murray in 2 games. Right side of the bracket, here we go. Franklin County, the 19th seed, the heart of Royston, Georgia, the hometown of Ty Cobb. Franklin County was able to get the upset over Thompson. Thompson was the 3 seed. Now they're going to be taking on the 6 seed Appling County. That's going to be today. Yeah, of course. I'm trying to make sure I got that right. And then Rockmart, the defending 2A champions, who defeated Shaw. Now, these were close games. They beat Shaw 3-1 and 2-1. They are taking on Morgan County, who ended up defeating Stevens County. Morgan County, they're the defending basketball champions. They were really good at football. They are a powerhouse in 2A. Let's go to Class 1A Division 1, which soon will be just 2A. We got Gordon Lee taking on Fitzgerald. We got Social Circle taking on Worth County. Look out. Worth County is going to be in the same region with Carver and Kendrick and Crisp County next year. Bremen taking on Vidalia, and then Blakely County taking on Elbert County. Class 1A Division 2, Wilcox County taking on Lanier County. Baconton taking on Irwin County. Charlton County taking on Lake Oconee Academy, and then ECI taking on Treon. Private, let's go. Kingsridge taking on Lovett, a private school out of Atlanta. Another private school in Atlanta that just wins at everything. Holy Innocents Episcopal taking on Mount Perrin Christian, and then North Cobb Christian taking on Prince Avenue Christian, and you got Wesleyan taking on those fighting Jeff Foxworthys in the Greater Atlanta Christian School. By the way, Jeff Foxworthy was in Columbus this past weekend. I can't believe I missed that, but that's okay. We're going to go ahead and move on to soccer, where yesterday we had Columbus defeat Jordan in the quarters. It was a great matchup between two powerhouses, and according to Max Preps, they were both ranked 1 and 2. I don't know how they got on this side of the bracket, but Columbus was able to win 3-2. And guess what? They will be hosting Savannah Arts this Friday at Otis Spencer Stadium. Cannot wait for that. Let's go to the 2A girls, because the Columbus girls were able to defeat Pierce County 5-0. And so they will be traveling to Zebulon, Georgia to take on Pike County, the number 1 overall seed. So good luck to both the Columbus Blue Devils and Lady Blue Devils in the soccer semifinals for their chance to go to the state championship. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead and take a break. And when we come back, I'm going to talk Alabama. You don't want to go anywhere. It's the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Back after this. And welcome back to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Sorry, I don't have any commercials yet, but I am looking for potential sponsors. It's really cheap packages, and I do want to send this disclaimer out. Georgia Alabama Sports Live is where the sponsorship is at. I am still growing as a podcast. I don't really ask for a lot. I do put some time and effort into this podcast, but I'm trying to promote the brand of Georgia Alabama Sports Live. So I just want to get that straight and clear. If you would like to sponsor Georgia Alabama Sports Live, I can give you free advertising on the Sports Beat. Run commercials. I'm trying to throw that out there, but let's go ahead and get right back into the show. How's everybody doing? I just feel alive and energetic. This is a Wednesday. I'm coming at you live on my Facebook page and live on my YouTube channel. This is usually pre-recorded. I put a little production on it, but this time I just wanted to go full hard charge straight ahead because I'm ready to talk sports. Let's break down those Alabama brackets in baseball. All right, we know that locally here in the Chattahoochee Valley, the Central Red Devils, led by Coach A.J. Kehoe, well, they are going to be taking on the Dothan Wolves this Friday for a best of 3. And so they will take on the winner of Enterprise and Auburn. Auburn was able to defeat Dauphine, and Central was able to defeat Fairhope. So we've got Enterprise and Auburn down at the bottom bracket. We've got Central and Dothan at the top of the bracket. Let's go to the other side of the bracket because we got Tuscaloosa County taking on Hewitt Trussville. And then we got Bob Jones taking on Thompson. And it should be a lot of fun. 7A, I tell you, I love 7A because, we do have the local teams here to the Chattahoochee Valley, Smith Station, Opelika, Auburn, Smith Station. But only 2 make it into the playoffs. Let's take a look at 6A. And unfortunately, Russell County did not make the 6A tournament. They have a little bit more teams. So, we have a little bit more rounds. I mean, we're already in the quarters. And so we got Pell City going to be taking on Hartselle. We got Hazel Green taking on Homewood. Gulf Shores taking on Spain Park. And then Chelsea taking on Northridge. So we got 8 teams left in the 6A bracket. Now let's take a look at the 5A bracket. And some of the local teams to the Chattahoochee Valley that are in 5A would be like Beauregard, Valley, and I know it's all going to change next year because of the reclassification. All right, so we got Moody taking on Madison Academy. We got East Limestone, like a limestone cowboy. No, I'm just kidding. Taking on American Christian Academy. We got Faith Academy taking on Demopolis. Sounds like a city out of Superman. Briarwood Christian taking on Elmore County. Let's take a look at the 4A. I'll be honest with you, there is not a local team to the Chattahoochee Valley in 4A. I think the nearest, maybe Handley, maybe Benjamin Russell, but that's about it. All right, so we got Alexandria taking on Central Florence. Big shout out to my Florence boys, Ben Hayes and Travis Creasy up there. I know they go their support Mars Hill, but we got that local team up in Florence. Central Florence, Westbrook Christian taking on Deschler, Opp taking on Oak Grove, and then Houston Academy down in Dothan taking on Bibb County. Remember, Houston Academy is going to be in the same region as Glenwood next year. Speaking of Glenwood, let's talk 3A baseball brackets. Here we go. Glenwood is in the quarterfinals taking on Altamont, and that is happening in about an hour and a half. It's going to be game 1. It's a best-of-3 series. And how about this matchup? The winner will take on Thomasville and Lee Scott Academy. Lee Scott Academy was able to defeat Thornsby, and Glenwood was able to defeat Wicksburg. So we could have a Glenwood-Lee Scott Academy semifinal. Are you kidding me? Come on now. We got Gordo, who was the runners-up from last year, taking on Collinsville. And then we have Piedmont taking on Oakman. So we have got 8 more teams left, and there's a possibility we could have a Glenwood-Lee Scott semifinal. I'm excited about that. I know I've been gone for a week. I'm coming back on fire, talking sports with you. I don't even need a water break. All right, let's go to 2A. Now, some of the schools in 2A in Alabama: Lynette, Lafayette, trying to think of some others. Lochapoka, the Poca Way's working, all that good stuff. All right, let's take a look. Red Bay taking on North Sand Mountain. We got Lindsay Lane Christian Academy taking on Mars Hill Bible. That's that school that Ben Hayes and Travis Creasy support. Big shout out to them. GW Lawn and Tuscaloosa Academy. And then we got Artion taking on Reeltown. Reeltown is kind of a local team to the Chattahoochee Valley. Got to give them major props. And then let's take a look, finally, the 1A classification. We don't have any 1A schools out here, I'll be honest with you. Lochapoka used to be a 1A school. Now they're 2A. But you got Hubertville, Athens Bible, Appalachian, and Addison. You got Millry and University Charter, and Fayetteville and Maplesville. And those are your brackets for the AHSAA state playoffs. We do have AISA. So I am going to talk AISA because Lakeside School, which is a school out of Eufaula, which they were able to allow us to live stream their championship games last season. They ended up defeating Patrician to go back-to-back as AISA champions. And I'm just going to come out and say they're a powerhouse. They are a powerhouse with some great baseball players, and they punched their ticket to the state championship once again. How about the Chiefs from Lakeside School? Are you kidding me? Back again in the baseball championship, which will take place. I'm looking at the brackets. Come on now. May the 13th. Let's go. Unbelievable. Lakeside, they were actually taking on Hope, and then now we have the tournament that's happening. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's a great time to be a Lakeside Chief if you support that team. And they're still in the AISA, small school. They're single A in the AISA. But I'll tell you what, I've been very impressed. Yeah, that state tournament. Come on now. It's going to take place May the 13th at Patterson Field. Let's go. Lakeside School. They're in it. They're in it to win it. Trying to three-peat. Wow. Here we go. Let's take a break. Another break. Bear with me now. When we come back, NBA playoffs. I got my thoughts. We'll talk a little Braves. We'll close out this show. It's the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. We'll be right back after this. And we are back here on the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. NBA playoffs. We've got game 2 tonight between the Philadelphia 76ers and the New York Knicks. The Knicks have a 1-game lead. I honestly think that the Knicks are going to win this series. Look, I was completely surprised that the Sixers were able to come back 3-1 on the Boston Celtics because the Celtics were my favorite to win the NBA championship. Now the Knicks, they're not my favorite to win the NBA championship. They're my favorite to get to the NBA Finals, which would be huge. They have not made the NBA Finals since 1999, and that would just be an incredible feat for the New York Knicks. And, getting to an Eastern Conference final last year, you kind of got the vibe that this is the Knicks' year. They have a different coach now with Mike Brown, but they have guys like Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby. They've got Mikal Bridges, Karl Anthony Towns. I think the Sixers, when fully healthy, they could beat anybody, but how much more does Joel Embiid have left? When are we going to get playoff P in Paul George? Is VJ Edgecombe, which was a top draft pick from last year, does he look like he's part of the process, or does he look like he could be a superstar? We know that Tyrese Maxey is a superstar, but I also think that there is an X factor with the Philadelphia 76ers, and that X factor is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse has a championship with the Toronto Raptors. He won it in 2019. I can never understand why the Raptors fired him, but I think he could be the X factor. He was not coaching in the game because he had family obligations to attend to. But the series is going to be game 2, taking on the New York Knicks. I don't know if Nick Nurse is going to be back, but Philly's got a chance to split this 1-1 going back to Philadelphia, where they did lose 2 games to Boston. So I don't even factor in home court. We also have later tonight the Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the San Antonio Spurs. And I honestly think you got a superstar in Anthony Edwards. The Timberwolves did a great job defending Wemby. I think that the San Antonio Spurs might be a year early, but they still have a very talented team. I think the Spurs win because they're playing at home. But, going back 1-1 to Minnesota, I like Minnesota's chances to extend this series to at least get it to 7 games. But you still have the Spurs at home. I could see a scenario where the Spurs win in a game 7. If the Timberwolves want to win this series, they're going to have to close it out in game 6, because I do think that the Spurs will find a way to win a game 7 on their home court. On Thursday, that's tomorrow, we've got the Detroit Pistons taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think that Cade Cunningham is starting to become a superstar. He could end up being a top 5 player when it's all said and done. Not bad for a guy that was picked number 1 overall. The Cleveland Cavaliers have some pretty good players, but the Pistons were the number 1 overall seed in the East for a reason. They were a great regular season team. Now let's see if it translates to being a good postseason team. I honestly think the winner of the Sixers-Knicks are going to win the Eastern Conference Finals and get to the NBA Finals. So this is a pretty intriguing matchup, and I still want to see it. Lakers and Thunder. Well, the Lakers just are running out of gas. The Thunder didn't even have Jalen Williams. The Lakers just can't find a way to beat the Thunders. I would not be shocked if the Thunder ended up sweeping the Lakers. Now, don't get me wrong. The Lakers were leading for the first part of that game. I wanted the Lakers to win because I want this series to be competitive. I want it to be close. That's what I love seeing. I love seeing close, competitive games. Let's take another break. When we come back, I got more. Welcome back. It's the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. Yeah, we are just jamming along here. Don't forget, this is a shameless plug. You can catch me every morning on Sports Vision's 92.1 FM with Thrift Barringer and DJ Jones. I have not been in the studio since Thursday. We ran some best of shows on Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. They were back in studio on Wednesday. I was still up in Fayetteville, and I was driving home, and now I am back here in the Fountain City. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to work. And I know that a lot of people asking, like, what's going on? Like, how come I'm not calling as many games? And we got so much talent at Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'm a humble guy. I'm also competitive. If I'm physically boots on ground in Columbus, I am willing and ready to call any game. But I have other obligations that I've been doing and being out of town. And so I'm back in town. I'm ready to go. But since I got some time on my hands, I figured, why not get a show knocked out? All right, let's see. I was talking NBA playoffs. All right, let's transition to WNBA regular season. Let's be honest here. The WNBA, it's better with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. This just makes this league so fascinating. We saw the numbers. We know that this league was fascinating. We know that there was controversy 2 years ago when Caitlin Clark was left off the Olympic roster. I mean, that was just a slap in the face at Caitlin Clark. And I do think that she moves the needle. I honestly think that the WNBA is better with Caitlin Clark. And so let's talk about this upcoming season. It is opening night. It's going to be Friday. The Connecticut Sun, soon to be Houston Comets, taking on the defending champion New York Liberty. Friday, we also got the Washington Mystics taking on that team from Toronto, the Toronto Tempo. Come on now. Golden State Valkyries taking on the Seattle Storm, and then the Indiana Fever taking on the Dallas Wings. And obviously, this game's going to be on ABC because you got Paige Beckers going up against Caitlin Clark. That's what everybody wants to see. Then we got the Phoenix Mercury taking on the Las Vegas Aces. That's also going to be on ABC. And then the Dream going to be on the road taking on the Minnesota Lynx. We'll get to see Angel Reese in a Dream uniform for the first time in the regular season. So that is going to be fun. And then the next home game for the Atlanta Dream is going to be May the 17th, where they will take on the Las Vegas Aces. And this game got moved to State Farm Arena. So, like I said, I'm back here on this Wednesday. I didn't talk much. I talked about the Kentucky Derby. You know, we just had the Kentucky Derby, and historic that we had the first female trainer in horse racing history win the first Triple Crown winner for the Kentucky Derby. Unbelievable. Here's my takeaway for the Kentucky Derby. I want to see the winner, Golden Tempo, race in the Preakness. If they decide not to race Golden Tempo in the Preakness, I will boycott the sport. I'm done. I'm not watching the Preakness. I'm not watching the Belmont Stakes. This is absolutely ridiculous. The Kentucky Derby winner should always race in the Preakness because that's where all your eyeballs are going. People, casual sports fans like me, want to see a Triple Crown winner. That's what we love to see. So that's my 2 cents on horse racing. I don't really talk that much about horse racing, but hey, there it is. Hey, we got the PGA Championship coming up and the Amermick Golf Club, May the 14th through the 17th. Does it feel weird that the PGA Championship went from August to now May? I don't know. It kind of feels weird to me too, but I think that Rory McIlroy is probably the favorite to win it. But, you know, you've got Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele. You've got some pretty good possible winners that could be ended up winning this thing. So I think that if you look at the favorites, you think Rory McIlroy, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele. Those are my top 3 that could win this tournament. All right, let's talk Major League Baseball, because right now the Atlanta Braves taking on the Seattle Mariners. They're doing it without Ronald Acuna Jr. He is on the injured list with a hamstring injury, and it is in the top of the first. They are taking on the Mariners right now. It is scoreless. As you know, I'm having this live right now, and they were able to get the win over the Mariners yesterday. They are currently 9.5 games above the Phillies, the Nationals, and the Marlins. That is good for, best record in Major League Baseball. The Yankees have the second best record. They got a 25-11 record. And I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to be slowing the Braves down because, quite frankly, they're getting some of their big-time players back. Spencer Strider, he's coming back. What a great feeling. We know that Ronald Acuna Jr., here's the thing. Let him rest that hammy. Don't rush him back because you're going to need him in the postseason. Let's not rush Ronald Acuna Jr. back just yet. I do think that there is some value with him maybe taking some time off. I mean, he got off to a slow start anyway. I mean, so that's my takeaway on that. But how about Matt Olson? Matt Olson coming to fruition. He's having an MVP year with 13 home runs and 33 runs batted in. Drake Baldwin, he's kind of cooled off. He had a very hot couple of weeks in the season. I think he could be an all-star. Ozzie Albies, I think, could be an all-star. I tell you, it's a great time to be a baseball fan, and it's great that we have the Clean Stones here in Columbus, Georgia, that we can root for these players like J.R. Ritchie that's already gone up to the big club. I think that's great that we can root for those players. I do want to talk about, some of the key players in the majors right now, because you talk about Matt Olson having an MVP type series, MVP type season. Mike Trout is one of those players that you root for him. He's got 11 home runs on the season. I want to see the Angels in the postseason because Mike Trout, in my opinion, is the player, 11-time All-Star, that I think he represents what is so great about baseball, because he is just a great five-tool player that doesn't really get a whole lot of love because the Angels don't make it into the postseason. Another player that I really love is Pete Crow Armstrong. And those Chicago Cubs, they have not won a World Series since 2016. I think that Pete Crow Armstrong is going to be a Gold Glove center fielder. He is having a pretty good year, not the year he wants behind the plate, but he'll get going. I think that Pete Crow Armstrong is definitely that player to watch. Some of the other players that has really come on of late, you talk about Ben Rice for the New York Yankees, batting .343. He's got an on-base percentage of .455, and the Yankees have the best record in the American League. So I know it's early. I can't wait till the Midsummer Classic where we have the All-Star game in Philadelphia for the country's 250th birthday. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then one more thing I do want to talk about before I get you out of here is the NHL playoffs. So the NHL playoffs going on right now. I don't talk a whole lot of hockey. I know we just had the River Dragons season just end. But right now, the NHL playoffs, it's great to root for teams that have not been there. And by the way, congratulations to the Toronto Maple Leafs for winning the NHL draft lottery. I think the sport is better when you have a team like the Toronto Maple Leafs that is good, that can compete for a Stanley Cup, because they were one of the original six. They haven't won a Stanley Cup in it's been like half a century. I like Austin Matthews. He's a really good player. So congratulations to him. And also my San Jose Sharks, they're going to be in the playoffs next year. They got the number 2 overall pick. They got Macklin Celebrini. They got Will Smith. They got some young stars. I'm kind of seeing like what they did in the late 90s, early 2000s with Patrick Marleau and Joe Thornton. All right, we have got some great games for you tonight. The Montreal Canadiens, they are taking on the Buffalo Sabres. And then you got the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. They're called the Ducks, taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Oh, man, it is going to be great. This is game 1 for Montreal and Buffalo. This is second-round matchups. And then we got the Vegas Golden Knights. They got a 1-0 series lead on the Anaheim Ducks. Tomorrow, we've got the Carolina Hurricanes taking on the Philadelphia Flyers. Hurricanes got a 2-0 lead in that series. And then I can't wait. I love hockey. What's the other matchup? Oh, Colorado's got a 2-0 series lead against the Minnesota Wild. So maybe there's a collision course between Colorado and Carolina, could possibly meet up in the Stanley Cup Finals. Those games could be on TNT, HBO Max, all the good stuff. Don't forget, in about 30 minutes, we've got the Columbus Lions Coaches Show at Poor Decisions as Thrift Barringer, Mike Peacock, Dave Plata. They'll talk to Damian, the Nighthawk Daniels, the Columbus Lions head coach. 3-0 on the season. Got a big win over the Mississippi Wolfpack at the Columbus Civic Center. And a great performance by A.J. McDonald. Oh, man. I wish I was there. And I know that I had other obligations, but A.J. McDonald, he rocked the house at the Civic Center. Now they go on the road to take on the Jersey Bearcats. So good luck to the Columbus Lions, and catch the Columbus Lions Coaches Show later tonight at Poor Decisions in Columbus. One note I do want to talk about, the AAL is getting an expansion team. I fired away on the message board. I'm like, please let it be Macon, Georgia. Man, I would love that. The next time the Columbus Lions are at home will be May the 17th, which will be on a Sunday, taking on the Peach State Cats. So if you're not doing anything on a Sunday afternoon, just go down to the Columbus Civic Center and check out the Columbus Lions taking on the Peach State Cats out of Swanee. They are in the AAL2. Man, the AAL2 is what the Peach State Cats are at. Wow, what a great show. Yeah, trying to fill the full hour. Remember, you can catch this show on WQVZ Mission Radio, 1700 AM. That is going to be Sunday afternoon, really Sunday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. This has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that I was able to take the time to do this. Usually when I do this, I want to put some production into it. But, with me being gone on Monday, I felt like just go live. Just go live and just share your thoughts. And that's what I'm doing with this show. Thank you to everybody who has supported me, who has watched the show. Make sure that you download the show on Apple and on Spotify. I'm also found on YouTube, Facebook. I got an Instagram page now. That's where I put up my highlight reels and everything. Thank you for watching another episode of the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. We will see you next time. Bye, everybody.